Good morning. We will begin our service with the ringing of the temple bell. At this time, please silence your cell phones and listen quietly as the sounding of the kancho is an invitation to settle our hearts and minds as we prepare to receive the Dharma. Thank you. Aloha everyone, and welcome to our annual Gotan-E Service sponsored by the Konohonganji Shinwa Kai. This service celebrates the birth of Shinran Shonin, which occurred on May 21st, 1173. Shinran was the founder of Shin Buddhism. As Reverend Blayne explains, his life and teachings represent one of the most significant developments in the history of Buddhism. Before then, only the privileged and educated received spiritual instruction. Shinran taught that everyone was equally embraced by the Buddha's infinite wisdom and compassion, and the truth of the Dharma and Shinjin awakening are accessible to everyone without discrimination. I am Wendy Terada, and I will serve as your MC for this service. Assisting at the temple with technical support are Alan Matsumoto and Darren and Lynn Katayama. Corinne Chong is our organist, and Betty Takioka will lead the singing. Let us start the service with the offering of flowers by Norman and Betty Takioka. Offering of lights will be done by John and Shelley Sui. Reverend Blayne will chant the Sambujo, or three respectful callings, which invites Amida Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, and all Buddhas of the 10 directions to join us at this service. It symbolizes our willingness to open our hearts and minds to receive the Dharma. Sangye, or the scattering of paper flower petals called keha, will accompany the chanting of Sambujo led by Reverend Blayne. Please join in the chanting when indicated. Sambujo can be found on page 9 of the Red Service Book. Again, page 9 of the Red Service Book. Reverend Blayne will now share an aspiration.
Please join me in Gasho. We gather as friends in the Dharma, as fellow travelers along the journey of life. On this observance of Gotan-E, we celebrate the birth of Shinran Shonin, who shared with us the path of universal liberation through the Nembutsu. We reflect on Shinran's words from the Kyogyo Shinsho, hard to encounter even many lifetimes, is the decisive cause of birth, Amida's universal vow. Hard to realize even in myriads of kalpas is pure Shinjin that is true and real. If you should come to realize this practice in Shinjin, rejoice at the conditions from the distant past that have brought it about. With gratitude, we adorn the altar with offerings as we express our deepest appreciation and indebtedness to Shinran and the Pure Land Masters for sharing with us this profound teaching. Let us endeavor to listen to the Buddha Dharma with not just our ears, but with our entire being, and strive to embody the teachings in our thoughts, through our words, and by our actions. May we always take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows us the way in this life, the Dharma, the way of understanding and love, and the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. Entrusting in the Buddha of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion, we call Amida's name in profound gratitude, abiding joy, and a heart-centered awareness for the miracle of each unrepeatable moment. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu.
It is, excuse me, it is time for the offering of incense. We invite all Sangha members in attendance to please come up and offer incense if you wish, starting with the front rows and moving towards the back. Please use both incense burners. Let us observe a moment of silent meditation.
Namandab, 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 Namandab.
Reverend Blayne will now lead us in chanting the Sutra Sambutsuge. Words can be found on page 47 in the Jodo Shinshu service book on the screen. Again, page 47.
The Buddha of infinite light and life made vows to embrace all beings equally without exception. These vows promise to create a perfect world where no suffering or evil exists and guides us to supreme awakening. The Sambutsuge, or hymn in praise of Buddha, is a poem from the larger Pure Land Sutra in which Amida Buddha, as a bodhisattva, praises his teacher and makes his 48 vows to establish the Pure Land of enlightenment for the welfare and happiness of all beings. We chant the words of the Buddha as a reminder of these great vows made to awaken and liberate us all. The hymn in praise of Buddha. 시에 응해 조려 시성 시가 신교 계려 신시 쇼그도 그즈 가교 쇼징 닌즈 흥에 나만나브 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 나만나브
Please rise for the Gatha Shinran Shonin, which can be found on pages 174 and 175 in the Purple Gatha book. Again, pages 174 and 175 in the Purple Gatha book.
Softly sighs the gentle breeze at the window bright, as I place my hands together in the morning light. Namu oft do I repeat. Shinran Shonin comes to me with a smile within. By my side he strengthens me as each day I begin. As an evening storm may shroud twinkling stars so fair, when the glow of hope is shadowed by a dark despair. Namu Amida Butsu, oft do I repeat. Shinran Shonin comes to me with a beacon
You may be seated. Reverend Blayne will now read a selection from the Gobunsho, which is a collection of letters written over 500 years ago by Renyo Shonin, the eighth spiritual leader of the Honganji. These letters summarize and clarify the essence of Shinran's teachings. Reverend Blayne will read the Gobunsho, Matsudai Muchi no Sho, or those lacking wisdom in the latter age, in the traditional Japanese and in English, to be followed by his Dharma message.
Namandavats, 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 namandavats. Hi, good morning, everybody, and happy Gotan-E. So let me begin with the reading of the Gobunsho, written by Renyo. Matnai muji no zai ge shiju no nanyo taran jomongara wa kokoro o hitotsu ni shite amina butto fukaku tanomimairasete さらに世の方へ心を振らず一心一向にぶ助けたまえと申さん主上またとえ在後は人獣なりとも必ず皆如来は救いましますべしこれすなわち第18の念仏の上の誓願の心なり核のごとく現状しての上には寝ても覚めても命のあらん限りは称名念仏すべきものなりあながしごあながしご Laymen and laywomen in the latter age who lack wisdom should deeply rely on Amida Buddha with singleness of heart, entrusting themselves to the Buddha single-mindedly and unwaveringly for their emancipation, without turning their thoughts to other matters. However deep and heavy their evil karma may be, Amida Tathagata unfailingly saves them. This is the essence of the 18th vow that assures our birth in the Pure Land through the Nembutsu. Once our heart is thus settled, we should say the Nembutsu whether awake or asleep, for as long as we live, humbly and respectfully. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Again, good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. So Shinran Shonin, the founder of Shin Buddhism, was a revolutionary thinker who shared with us this path of universal liberation and spiritual freedom. Born on May 21st, 1173, a few years ago, we celebrated his 850th birthday in Japan. You know, he is revered as a great religious teacher, but I also appreciate Shinran as a remarkable human being who lived a life of critical self-reflection and spiritual honesty. He called himself Gutoku, foolish, stubble-haired one. I have always marveled at his profound humility and self-awareness and of how profoundly relatable Shinran is to my life. Shinran offers this lament in his writings. He says, the Shinjin of the wise is such that they are inwardly wise and outwardly foolish. The heart of Gotoku is such that I am inwardly foolish and outwardly wise. So in Hawaii we call eno akya. And so the heart of the Shin Buddhist path, right, is an acceptance of our full humanness, right, our humanity as imperfect beings, and the cultivation of profound gratitude for the dynamic working of wisdom and compassion in our lives, which embraces never forsakes. It was the realization of his own limitations as a human being and how he was incapable of achieving enlightenment through his own self-effort. Shinran awakened to the inconceivable working of Amida Buddha. It is this dual realization that leads to a profound spiritual transformation, which enables us to truly live with the entrusting heart and mind of Shinjin. Shinran teaches that the heart of reality making itself known to us through the name, Namo Amida Butsu, is the sound of the universe, calling us home to ourselves, encouraging us to wake up from our spiritual slumber. It reminds us of how we are living together in oneness with that which is true and real. Shinran teaches us how to truly live in this world of samsara, this world of suffering. Today, in honor of Shinran and the life of awakening he shared, I would like to reflect on the simple yet profound words of the Myokoning, those uneducated, unlearned followers of the Nembutsu who just get it, the heart of the teaching. Now, the Myokoning, Saichi Asahara, wrote the following verse. He says, "Isn't it nice? The world is filled with Buddhas, and I too live among them. Namo Amida Butsu." What a remarkable way to see the world as being filled with nothing but Buddhas. However, we know from experience that this doesn't necessarily mean that there are golden Buddhas lined up everywhere, right? How many of us would consider ourselves a Buddha, right? But rather, it's an attunement, right, of one's heart to see the sacred in everything, of how we can encounter the world of the Buddha, the Pure Land, in this present moment. Seeing Buddhas everywhere is a profound recognition of how we are given life and are enabled to live through countless causes and conditions. The sun, the moon, the earth, the insects, the trees, the grass, our family, our friends, our experiences. All these things are beyond the power of human beings, which sustain and nurture our lives, that can be considered Buddha. Dr. Hideo Yonezawa believes, in gratitude, we should put our hands together and humbly gasho to all things. When we are reverent to all things become Buddha. It is a world of nothing but Buddhas. We are living in such a world. Awakening to the world working of the Pure Land is Namo Amida Butsu. The oneness of myself with that power which is beyond myself. When we attune the ears of our heart towards Amida's calling voice, everything in life expresses Namo Amida Butsu, even our challenges and our failures. However, our ego, right, dominates our lives and controls whether or not we see the Pure Land around us. Our ego continuously turns the Pure Land into a defiled realm, suffering through the three poisons of greed, anger, and ignorance, just like our world today. Yet Buddhas in our lives are constantly trying to wake us up to the world of awakening that is always present, teaching us to become true and real human beings. What is remarkable about the Pure Land path that Shinran shared is that the practice of Nembutsu is grounded in the midst of our everyday lives. After leaving Mount Hiei, where he had trained as a monk for 20 years, Shinran left the mountain. He got married, he raised a family, and he lived an ordinary life of a householder while continuing to share and to say the Nembutsu as his exclusive practice. Because of this, Shinran considered himself neither monk nor layperson, living in this kind of in-between space, right? That affirmed both the sacred in his life, and just his human nature, right? Professor Takamado Shigaraki describes this spiritual journey as walking the path of the Nembutsu of everyday life, in which we think on the Buddha and say the Nembutsu in whatever condition, whether laughing or crying, angry or happy, that we may find ourselves in. Through this Nembutsu practiced every day of our lives, a path opens up before us, and on that path we are able to realize and experience the true awakening and attainment of Buddhahood. This is the path that Shinran experienced and has revealed to us. And so Dr. Yonezawa in his book says, in becoming one with the power beyond the self, we receive the strength to live through anything. This is called awakening to Namo Amida Butsu, awakening to one's true self, or meeting one's true self. The Buddha Dharma is the path that teaches this awakening. When we meet the Buddha Dharma for the first time, there arises in us this aspiration to live authentically. Spiritual awakening is often described as a journey to the top of a mountain, where we leave behind our attachments. However, in Buddhism, and in particular Shin Buddhism, in this school, our spiritual awakening occurs when we go into the valley of our lives, into the shadows, into the dark places. This journey within our own heart and mind is the essence of Shinran's teaching. The Dharma teaches us how to live, that our lives are a series of causes and conditions that come together and fall apart in an endless cycle of transformation and change. And we suffer because we desperately cling to this notion that life should be permanent, unchanging in the way we want it to be. Right? Again, we're always coming back to our ego, ourself, right? However, we know that life is impermanent and often filled with dissatisfaction and disappointment and hurt. Dealing with the current chaos of the world has been overwhelming, but the everyday transitions and challenges that make our world turn have not stopped, right? That there is a diagnosis of a major illness, the ending of a relationship, the death of a loved one, the loss of a pet, birth, marriage, new job. The cycle of life has continued uninterrupted, and we've tried to manage everything without losing hope, without losing courage to live each day, right? But while times have been immensely challenging, we have also discovered what the Buddha taught about birth, old age, sickness, and death are eternal truths that have enabled us to find our footing on the deck of a ship sailing on stormy seas. Embracing the groundlessness of our lives has enabled us to bend and to twist without breaking when things keep falling apart. The Dharma truly offers us wisdom for living in these challenging and uncertain times. The Tibetan Buddhist teacher, Pema Chodron, offers a beautiful and insightful way of understanding this fundamental truth of life. She says, things falling apart is a kind of testing and also a kind of healing. We think that the point is to pass the test or to overcome the problem, but the truth is that things don't really get solved. They come together and they fall apart. Then they come together and they fall apart again. It's just like that. The healing comes from letting there be room for all of this to happen. Room for grief, for relief, for misery, for joy. So often we want certainty and definitive answers, things to be black and white. But as we know, most things in life are not that simple. But it's this desire, right, that causes us to suffer. We need to allow space for uncertainty and room for not knowing, which is the place of true wisdom, of true knowledge, of true growth. In times of difficulty, I try to remember the wise words of my teacher, the late Reverend Dr. Seigen Yamaoka, who said, "Without change, we cannot grow. So move with it, be with the flow." When we give up our illusion of control, we are then able to realize the possibility of transformation and healing. I saw in the program that the Shinwa Kaya put together a reference to Star Wars, right? And I've been watching a lot of Star Wars recently, in particular Star Wars Rebels and Andor. I think it has to do with the times we're living in. But this idea of being with the flow, right? Of encountering life on its own terms, right? Reminds me of how we, in Star Wars, talk about the Force, talk about that universal life, that universal energy that is moving through us, that is animating our lives, that when we entrust in that, right, that life goes a lot smoother than we think it can go, right? And so opening our hearts to the unknown is scary. However, intentionally making ourselves vulnerable is the only way to discover our true self, which is already within the embrace of Amida. This dynamic relationship between an individual and Amida Buddha is the heart of this path. The Buddha's compassion is not separate from our imperfect lives. This acknowledgement and acceptance of our imperfections is the heart of this path, which opens us the possibility for transformation and healing. Shinran's understanding of human nature and spirituality can be seen in this paradoxical relationship of truly living with our imperfections and limitations every moment of our lives. That we don't have to be perfect to be living as a human being, right? That is the toxic myth of perfection, that we should always be more than we really are, but we should always strive to do better. That is the nature of human life, but we should also have a certain sense of humility and acceptance that we won't always get it right, that we're just human, and that's okay. And that's what Shinran discovered by opening his heart and mind to Amida Buddha's compassion. Because he was human, because he was imperfect, Amida already embraced him. And that was freeing, that was healing, that was life-giving for Shinran to be able to live this present life fully, gratefully, honestly. So our suffering is caused by delusion, right, in this path. And we delude ourselves to our own limited abilities. We believe that we are not subject to this reality of old age, sickness, and death, right? And this truth of impermanence is this inherent fundamental imperfection, which we seek to deny. But in our struggle for perfection, we delude ourselves by denying all the things that make us less perfect, less human. And so the realization of this truth is the hardest step because we cling so tightly to this belief that we are more perfect than we really are. But we are invited to embrace that imperfection. The Buddha's teaching invites us to bravely engage with life and all of its contradictions. This is a wise and realistic hope that is cultivated when we embrace our challenges and the change in our lives and open our hearts to uncertainty. The Dharma is our lifeline as we dive into the bottomless ocean of our lives. Namo Amida Butsu connects us to this inconceivable life of the Buddha, reminding us that we are never alone in our struggles. The Nembutsu taught by Shinran is a path of becoming a true and real human being who lives with sincerity, with authenticity, and a deep gratitude for all that life teaches us, seeing Buddhas all around us, seeing teachers all around us. So can we be like Saichi, Asahara, and see Buddhas everywhere, even in the most difficult situations? Maybe striving to perceive the Pure Land in each unrepeatable moment is our lifelong practice on this path. And so, thank you for gathering today as we celebrate the life of Shinran Shonin and reflect on this path of living with sincerity, with wonder, with joy. Shinran's life of profound gratitude reveals to us a world of awakening, in which we realize that we are embraced and supported by infinite light in life itself. How grateful we are to Shinran for sharing this life-giving and life-transforming teaching of Nembutsu with the world. Shinran just gives me hope. Hope to get up each day, to try my best to be able to live with a heart of compassion as best as I can, for as long as I can. That is our path, to live and to learn, to grow and to share in life struggles and joys together. That is the Nembutsu of everyday living. That is the Nembutsu that Shinran taught. And so please join me in Gasho for a closing reflection. Isn't it nice? The world is filled with Buddhas, and I too live among them. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Mahalo.
Thank you for your Dharma message, Reverend Blayne. John Sui will now lead us in the unison reading of our pledge. Words can be found on the handouts and on the screen. Please recite the words out loud together with him.
Our pledge. Reaching out to others, I will share a smile and gentle words, just like the Buddha who always calls out with aloha. Breaking away from my greed, anger, and ignorance, I will try to live in peace and harmony, just like the Buddha who shares tranquility and kindness with all. Moving forward from self-centeredness, I will share a life of joy and sorrow with others, just like the Buddha, whose caring heart always embraces us. Realizing that I live because of others, I will strive to live life to the fullest with an attitude of gratitude, just like the Buddha, who promises to embrace us all. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, John. We will now have the offertory presentation. Mahalo, everyone, for your generosity. Please rise as we will conclude this Gotan-E service with singing of the Gatha Nembutsu.
Namanda, Butsu Namanda, Butsu Namanda, Butsu Namanda, Butsu Namanda, Butsu Namanda, Butsu Namanda. Namanda.
You may be seated. Okay, here are some announcements. Upcoming schedule of services and events. Next Sunday, May 25th, Minister's Assistant Linda Nagai will officiate and share a Dharma message at the 10 a.m. Dharma Family Service. Sunday, June 1st, Boy Scouts will sponsor the annual Military Remembrance Service at 10 a.m. Guest speaker will be the Mayor of the County of Hawaii, Kimo Alameda. Sunday, June 8th, we will celebrate Father's Day at the 10 a.m. service. Guest speaker will be Kona native Raymond Takiue Jr., who is active with Moilili Honganji and has served as its past president. Okay, heads up, the Obon Festival, which is a kickoff for the Bon season, will be held on Sunday, June 15th at Maka'eo Pavilion at the Old Airport. It's a free community event with lots of craft fair and food vendors, plus taiko performances, and of course, fun Bon dancing. The craft fair opens at 2 p.m. Bon dancing will start at 4 p.m. and end at 7 p.m. We will be grateful for any help in setting up and breaking down, assistance with the comfort crew and manning the church donation retail booth. Please contact the temple office by June 6th if you can volunteer. Mark your calendars and join us for good eats and joyful Bon dancing. There will be no service on Sunday, June 15th due to the Obon Festival. Regular Dharma family services will be held on Sundays, June 22 and 29. I was given a schedule for the Bon dance practices, and if you don't catch me on this announcement, Lisa Siriaco is in the social hall. Bon dance practice for the Obon Festival will be held 3 days, June 5, June 9, and June 12. All three are at 7:30 in the social hall. Now, for the regular Bon dance practice for KA and the Konohonganji Bon dances, these will all be held in the social hall, all at 7:30 p.m. p.m. July 7, July 10, July 14, July 17, July 21st. There will be no practice on the 21st. They're going to be tenting the hall, I believe. Okay. And thank you to Stephen Kaneko and Dean Uemura for the Omigaki ornament cleaning that was held. Okay, are there any other announcements, Reverend Blayne or anyone else?
Oh, also a big thank you to Darren Katayama for helping with the omigaki, along with Dean and Stephen. The altar ornaments look amazing, so thank you. Also, thank you to Morris Nagata for the osanae, the fruits, and then also just thank you to everybody for being here and for celebrating Gotan-E with us. Also, in the newsletter, there was a call for drink donations. We are for our drink booth at the Obon Fest. If you're able to, we could use some donations of drinks and underwater for the event. So information is in the Jiho, and it will come out again in the June Jiho as well. So,
Anyone else? Okay. Those of you on Zoom, you may leave at any time. Those of you here in person, refreshments will be served in the social hall. Mahalo to Lynn Katayama and Lisa Siriaco for preparing the scrumptious goodies for today's refreshments. Your attendance today is most sincerely appreciated. Please stay healthy and safe, and we hope to see you in the near future at future services.
great, thank you. Oh, I forgot one more thing. You might have noticed these trays that were used this morning. So this is called a kero, and so it's a flower basket. And this was donated, this pair of kero flower baskets were donated by the BWA in honor of their 125th anniversary, right? Along with the beautiful new podium, the coal wood podium, and the new curtains in the social hall. So I just want to share this, that this is a special gift from the BWA.
That concludes today's services. Please join us in the social hall for some special desserts today.